Hi there. Today let's talk about EFRIS and why many consumers of EFRIS are striking against it. Actually, EFRIS is not a type of tax as many consumers say, but there are some things that make it seem like a tax. Before we proceed, please consider subscribing, liking and sharing on this channel. For very many of you are watching these videos, but the only way you can reward me is by subscribing. Alright, so EFRIS, electronic physical receipt and invoicing system. Now, this is just a system to help you collect and manage, track the tax base of the very many Ugandan wholesalers and companies. The system was first introduced to companies and everything was working well. But then when it came down to consumers or wholesalers, that's where the problem comes from. Now, EFRIS works very well, but some of the challenges are URA is trying to impose and enforce it at a very fast rate. In Uganda is where we have a tax base that is low, where we have very many financial problems with the whole financial market or the ecosystem, but then we have people who are trying to collect, the government is trying to collect a lot of revenue by setting target goals. So when they set target goals, it means the organization or URA must enforce to make sure that it can reach the target goal. And that's where the challenges are. For example, we have a lot of double taxation. How? Now, when someone imports items or gets them from the factory, I'll bring the example of a factory. At the factory, they have already imposed tax revenue using EFRIS. Now, it goes to the wholesaler. The wholesaler in downtown is also imposed a revenue basing on their income. And on top of that, I bet they'll collect VAT, which VAT is also taken from the person who is buying, that is the retailer. And then the retailer will go home. They want to pay, they increase the amount of money for the item. They want to pay for local government revenue, and also URA wants to tax them for their businesses because they get income from the purchase of the items. At the end of the day, by the time the item reaches the final consumer, it is 50% given government revenue. This is an issue because where people have alternatives, they will forego the products. The companies and businesses will fail. Let me give another example. When people don't get the services, for example, the poor roads we have, they hear of people embezzling funds and taking a lot of money, they have to react. Now, here comes an issue where you have a person who is trying to enforce the system to people who are illiterate. Revenue is said to be collected per receipt. Which receipts are supposed to be generated by EFRIS. Now, is EFRIS collecting the money there and then? If the person does not get the right value, aren't they operating in losses? Here we have a place, for example, with the local government tax. I'll come to it later again in another video, where each kind of business you deal in within the same household is referred to as a business. If you have mobile money, you're paying 150, and if you're selling juice, you're paying another amount for selling juice, and if you're selling bread, you're paying another amount for selling edibles. So which means by law, you're paying revenue that is estimated and is not coming from your receipt. So what the wholesalers are complaining about is they buy items from the companies which are induced to taxes. Then they bring them to their wholesale premises. They induce a tax, an income tax or revenue. And then they also want to induce VAT from the same products. Those are two. And then KCCA induces a tax, which is the local government tax. So if you consider, let's say 18% VAT and then income tax, which will be, I'll just estimate 12%, and then also KCCA wants another estimate, which estimate from KCCA is not valued. You find that these people are taxed, the money that is going to the same government, under different sections: income tax, VAT, local government tax, then garbage collection, then property tax. And what is very funny, when they are collecting property tax, they lock the premises, considering that the premises are to the owners of the property, yet my business already paid the local tax and I have a trading license. So which means you're failing my business, yet you can penalize the owner of the building without affecting my business. And in Uganda is where we have people who are not affected by the law. You cannot take these people to a law firm, or to courts of law, and they pay you back all the losses you've made when they locked your premises, yet they know the person who to collect the revenue from. Unless there is a say, unless they do something that by the time I pay my trading license revenue, I've already, my trading license revenue, they make sure that the owner of the building has already paid the premises tax. So we are in an ecosystem where they are milking a cow, but the cow is not being fed. How? Where you have poor roads, you'll face a lot of, when you have poor roads, you'll have a lot of traffic jam, you'll take in a lot of fuel to get the goods to reach the premises. You'll have a lot of breakdowns while transferring the goods to the premises. So, meaning they are not giving you enough to be fed for you to be able to pay the local government tax. You get it? So, EFRIS is not a bad system, but the consumers of EFRIS say, oh, we are triple taxed. One, you're enforcing something we don't know. Is it that URA is now selling our commodities? Because if I enter the digits, everything goes direct to URA. But if I don't make it, if my balance is nil, how do you help me? Do you transfer the credit to the next year? So URA is trying to collect this revenue down to the local man. But the means of collecting it are hard. Even if they were good, the returns from the collection in good services to the community are not there. They are putting an estimate that the country cannot afford. So, the system will work. It needs to be given a lot of time. The installation of the system is expensive. I have a shop where I expect to earn 1M per year, and here you are, I'm illiterate. You're trying to sell me a device, and a device is 1 to 2M. Something, and also you're trying to install the system onto a laptop with the sellers are illiterate. Okay? So these are some of the challenges that are failing that system, and that's why consumers are striking. As in, why doesn't URA give out these services free? Because it is benefiting from them by collecting taxes. Why not? Okay? So that's the challenge with EFRIS. You can go ahead and subscribe, comment, like, and share. I'll be able to learn from you. As you learn from me, you ask, I'll answer.